Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the You Thrive Everyday show. I am your host, April Vassetti, owner and founder of You Thrive Coaching. Today, we have episode 13. I'm very excited, y'all. We've been doing this for a minute, and we have a very special guest by the name of Robyn. Robyn, please introduce yourself. Tell us your name and what it is you like to be called.
Hey everyone, my name is Robyn Ratcliffe, and you just call me Robyn.
Okay, Robyn. So tell us where you're from, born and raised.
Chicago, Illinois.
Okay. And so did you spend most of your life in Chicago or were you just raised there? Did you leave there when you were a kid or what?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Chicago, Illinois. I didn't leave home till I left for about a year when I was in high school, but I didn't leave home till I was about 21. So I was always in Chicago, greater Chicago area, Indiana area. So
Okay. And so start off by telling us who raised you primarily. Were you raised in a home with your mother and father, grandparents? Who raised you?
my mom and my stepfather, Willie, they raised me. She got with my stepfather when I was about 5. And they broke up when I was about 11 or 12, but to this day that's still my stepfather. So and my
And so
mom,
where's your dad?
he's still my dad's in California, and he's my daddy, so I got them both.
So do you have a relationship with your father?
uh Now we do. When I was younger we didn't, but as of an adult age, yes.
So what? So why didn't your father raise you? Where was he at?
He was in California with Rachel and his new family, literally.
Oh,
Literally. We tried. My mom had fell real bad on drugs at one point, and we went to California for a few months with my dad, and it was just the most horrible experience. So my mom got us back real quick.
why was
One,
it so horrible?
because his wife at the time, Rachel, just hated me, and to this day, she still don't like me. She just and she treated me.
How old were you at the time?
Oh, I was like 7. She locked
Okay,
me
so how do you hate a
I couldn't
seven-year old?
for myself. She lied to my dad. He like she was just the wicked stepmama of the West. I promise she was.
She locked you in the closet. Is that
No,
what you
she
said?
locked me out the house.
Oh, at
Yeah.
7?
Yes, and for like an hour, man. That shit was horrible. Like I could not stand that lady. I pushed her in the pool too. I cannot stand her. But yeah. So after they divorced, me and my dad we started getting a relationship.
So how long did it take them to divorce?
Shoot, they just divorced maybe I'm 35, so maybe 10 years ago.
Okay,
If
okay.
that.
And so now that you're an adult and you look back on the situation from your perspective, what was her issue with you? Because I mean, you were 7.
Still the same issue she has to this day. She didn't like his daughter. It just had to be all about her. Like she told me at 14, she said, my dad came to we had a family reunion in Memphis. And I've been called baby girl my entire life. So he said, baby girl, come here. And he was in another room of the place. And she tapped as I proceeded to walk to my father. She pulled my shirt and said, no, I'm baby girl now.
Oh,
Like she just it's always been, yeah. So
okay.
it's always been
So how long were you staying with your dad and her?
just a few months. It didn't.
Oh, just a few
Yeah, it
months.
was like 2 months, and we came
And
back.
do you have any siblings?
I have an older brother.
And he was there too.
Yeah, yeah, we both went.
And
Yeah.
so did she treat him the same way?
No, she already had boys. My stepbrothers Lavelle and Daryl, and Elwood just fit right on in. And she was the lady. She was the only girl of the house, and that's how she wanted it. She was the lady of the house. Period. Any other female is just she wasn't going. And I mean, it's always been like that. Always.
Okay. So, okay, once your mom gets you from there, then what goes on?
We go back to Wheaton. We were staying in Wheaton at the time with my stepfather. And we stayed there most of my elementary years. Wheaton is a all white neighborhood, so it was us and maybe four or five other black families. But great school systems, you know. So we stayed out there for a while, and then Willie and my mom, they had the arrangement where Willie paid rent, my mom took care of the bills and her kids. And we always had, then when they broke up, that's when we just realized our mom had a drug habit, you know, because we started experiencing evictions, lights being cut off, her disappearing for days. We experienced the life of having a parent on drugs.
So how old were you when she started disappearing?
She had done it my whole life, but we were sheltered. You know, she would drop us off at our grandma's house or our uncle's house with our cousins or something like that. She'll leave for the weekend. We didn't know anything about it. Willie always took care of the bill, so it didn't affect us. And when I got in about fifth grade, they broke up and we moved to Palos Hills, and that was our first. The lights got cut off. Christmas was canceled that year. We didn't get no gifts. We had one gift a piece. What we started off with a lot of gifts, and then they disappeared. So by Christmas, we had one gift a piece. A little ass Christmas tree I had made at school out of an acorn. Like, yeah, we got evicted. So after that shit, the struggle began.
And so after that eviction, where did she go and where did you guys go?
My brother went to his friend Keith's house. I went to Keith's cousin house, Don, because it was no boys over there. And um we rocked out the rest of the school year like that. And then we moved to Chicago Ridge. Back when my mom got it back together again, and we ended up going to Chicago Ridge. And then by this time I'm in sixth grade, and she slipped again and disappeared again. So my cousin Shay was pregnant at the time with her firstborn, and she popped up at the house because she couldn't get in contact with us. So she popped up at the house, and she was just like, "Where your mom at? How long she been gone?" And she stayed with us, bought us a whole lot of food and everything. Shortly after that, our mom came back. She only stayed gone a couple of days. Our mom came back, but we were already about to get evicted. So shortly after that, we got evicted, and we went she got another place in Country Club Hills. So by seventh grade, we was in Country Club Hills. Um, and she got evicted again. So that was the last time I lived with her, seventh grade, because after that I went and lived with my uncle, then with my cousin, then with my auntie, and back with my cousin. I was After that it was a roller coaster. That was the last time I lived with her.
And so, okay, so let's make this clear because all this moving around is the Chicagoland area where you guys were. So, after having to separate from her, like how did that happen? Was it just like her saying that you guys need to
Well,
go
because with
XYZ?
the last eviction when I was in seventh grade, my uncle, which is her older brother, lived around the corner from us in Country Club Hills. So we went with him to finish out the school year. And by the time the next school year rolled around, which was my eighth grade year, she still didn't get it together. So I stayed there with my uncle and aunt, and I did my eighth grade year. And then going into ninth grade year, it was a lot of kids. We grew up with 13 people in a in a it's a 3 bedroom, 1 bathroom house, ranch house. So my whole family struggled with drugs. So my uncle had all the kids, all of my cousins and stuff. So um, we stayed there for almost 2.5 years. So because I did my freshman year there. And then my brother took a test to graduate high school early to go to California to try out for Kids Shamrock School, and he made it. So once he left Chicago, I went to Atlanta. It's now
So
my
what's the school he tried out for? What kind of school is that?
karate school.
Oh, okay.
My mom raised us in martial arts our whole entire life. She did karate and taekwondo. She was a second degree black belt. She had trophies and competitions, everything. My brother followed in her footsteps and took it to the next level. He went way extreme with it and went to California, and he been fighting ever since. He never looked back. But he was a
Wow.
professional MMA fighter, and now he trains MMA fighters. So that's, yeah, he just took off.
Right. So
Yep.
explain to me some of these experiences, because I mean, there had to be some things going on for you to keep, being shuffled from house to house.
Well, with okay, so when we that's what I'm saying. My eighth grade. Okay, so my eighth grade year, um, I finished my seventh grade and my eighth grade year with my aunt and uncle and all of my cousins. But that was it was a lot of people in that house. Like I said, it was a lot of cousins. So my brother, when he graduated school early to go to California, it was like, where you want to go, where you want to try, like what you gonna do. And I said, well, should I go to Atlanta with my auntie, my mom's youngest sister, because she seemed to always just have it together. So this was my sophomore year. I went to Atlanta and I did my sophomore year in Centennial, Georgia. My auntie was crazy as shit. Okay, she had bedtimes, TV times, curfew. She just had a lot of rules that I wasn't used to. Like, by the time my auntie got me, I was 16. My mom had already did raise me. I was already in my way. It was, you know what I'm saying? Like, she got me too late to make a difference. And then the difference she wanted to make was like she was better than the way my mama raised me. And I just always clashed with her on that. And my first job, she didn't want me to get no job. She talking about just come down here and go to school. My brother said as soon as you get down there, get a job. Like, we don't wait for nobody to do nothing for us. Period. So then she said, get your money direct deposited to my account so I can manage it. You want to manage the money that I go and punch the clock for? Better. And then like I said, TV time. You had to turn the TV off by 9:30. I'm 16. I don't get off work till 9. Like, I want to watch TV. You know what I'm saying? Bedtime. Like, it was just crazy. So one day she left to go to a jazz festival and she gave me a little closet in her house. The hallway closet was mine. So that's where all my stuff was. And I packed that motherfucker up and took my ass back home. You know what I'm saying? So appreciate her, love her to death. She just, it wasn't my cup of tea. So then it was Centennial in 2002, Alpharetta, Georgia. It was all white. I'm cut from Chicago. Like, we cultured. We have a lot of everybody's, and especially me's. And my whole school, my eighth grade year, I graduated from a black middle school. Yeah, I went to the school with the white folks and everything, but I graduated from a black middle school and I went to a black high school. So now my sophomore year around all white people, it wasn't for me at the time at all. They bust in 150 black students to meet a quota. Like, that was a culture shock. Everything about the South was a culture shock, period. So I went back home and I think I tried to stay with my aunt and my uncle again, but staying with them is like a built-in babysitter. And I don't have kids. So I end up, Cheryl actually ended up putting me out. And I want to say, for not babysitting. I wanted to go to my cousin's house for the weekend, which is her oldest child, Shay. And she told me I couldn't go unless I did X, Y, and Z for the kids. And Shay said, them not her kids. Her grades done, her chores done. I'm taking her for the weekend. And she said, don't bring her back. Get all her shit there. And so I ended up with my cousin again.
So you're 16 at this time.
I'm 17 because I did
Oh,
my I did, yeah,
17.
I did my sophomore year in Georgia. So now I'm a junior.
So you're 17 at this time and you've moved around a lot. You're not being raised by your mother. So what are, as far as you can remember, what were some like underlining issues that you were going through mentally at this point?
Um, at this point, this was just I've moved around so much that you learn to stay out of sight, out of mind. You stay quiet, you stay clean, you do what you have to do, and you won't have no problems. You can stay there for a long time. You know what I'm saying? You cook, you clean, your grades is up. They have no problem to call on you. No reason to call on you for a problem or an issue. You can stay where you're at for a long time. So you that's how you learn to survive. If you're tired of moving. Like, all right, I'm gonna be here for a while, so let me do. You get a routine, and that's what I did. Like, I made sure that I cooked dinner. I made sure that I cleaned up. I made sure that I wasn't a problem. I wasn't an issue. I was never a concern in anyone's household. And that's
So in any of these households, like, because in the one household, it's like it seems like you were like a kid slave. Having to cook, clean, babysit, basically run a woman's household. So what were previous issues in these other households that could cause psychological damage?
well, see, I was already fucked up. My cousin started molesting me at a young age, so mentally I was already crazy as shit. And then before that, like, well, I don't even know if it was before that or during that. Um,
How old were you at this time?
when my cousin started molesting me, I was between 4 and 6. And it didn't stop till I was about 13 when I was able, 13 or 14. Um, it was on and off. It was when I was around my mom's side of the family, you know what I'm saying, growing up. And like I said, they were all on drugs. So, you know, that it was just the life, but
And did you tell anybody?
no, at that point when your parents when you come from a toxic family like that, even though I didn't know they were toxic, I knew it was a lot of drama. So one, would I get in trouble? You being fast, or you doing this, or you doing that, or what goes on in my house stays in my house. Why you telling my business? So it was ways of getting in trouble. Then you scared, you embarrassed, you shame, like you're a kid. I didn't tell my family until I had my daughter, and I was 21 when I had my daughter. So, but when I had my daughter, I had to accept my story and who I was in order to break it. Because when I came out and told my family, that's when I found that I wasn't the first cousin. So this means that this is something that's been occurring, this has been happening, and y'all been not saying what goes on in my house stays in my house, not communicating, not taking care of the issue, and it's just you passing it on and on and on, and it wasn't going on to my daughter. So I spoke on it, and boom, now Robyn's the black sheep.
So, I mean, that's pretty deep. So, did you tell anybody? Was there any friends, or I mean, because that's a long time for such a traumatic event to keep
Mm-mm,
reoccurring.
mm-mm.
So you just held that in,
Yeah,
and so
my
now
daughter.
looking.
I have my daughter, and I think she was almost 1, or she was 1. My mom called and she asked if she can take her to a family event that they were having. And I asked, was Al gonna be there? And she was like, I don't know why. And I was like, well, my daughter's not around. Al, he been touching and molesting me my whole life, and that's how I came out about my story with my family. So then when it was addressed with the family, it was At first it was kind of looked over like, oh, it happened to all of us, get over it, you grown now, why you bringing this up now? um a lot of once some cousins didn't believe me, some, it was just, it was a lot of backlash. It was no type of um just my brother and my cousin Shay are the only ones I kind of felt support from on that side of the family.
And
Like,
so now looking back, as an adult, what do you feel were some psychological issues that caused?
uh, I have relationship issues. I don't trust at all. Um, Insecurity issues. I have a lot. I deal with a lot of shit. A lot of shit. And some shit that I didn't know was associated with being molested until I went to start seeing a psychiatrist. So, you,
Can
yeah,
you
like,
give us an example?
just the type of men that I choose, how I, the self esteem that I have, how I view myself, my self worth, down to sexual positions and how you perform. It all strides from me being molested, so it affects me in every, like, almost every aspect. You can't, yeah. So I don't know. Certain songs remind me of him as a child, so I don't listen to him as an adult because memories start to flash. And um you I don't know, it's hard to explain. It's hard, but it fucks with you. It fucks with you,
Yeah.
and definitely if you don't get help. I didn't get help until maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I started getting help and started being able to process the way I think and the way I move and why I think and move that way.
Wow. Okay. So now we're 17, and so you've been dealing with that because you really just buried that. And so were there any suicidal thoughts? Because usually with childhood trauma through the course of teenagehood, like
I
that seems to be a commonality.
Yeah, I deal with suicidal thoughts then and now. Yep. Attempted a couple times. So yeah, it's a struggle. They say it's
So
a
this has been a lifelong thing.
mm-hmm. Because as a kid, you feel like this is not what you're born for. You can't be born for someone to be fucking with you at a young age. You can't be born to see your parents go have a drug addiction. You can't be born for your dad not to have no relationship for you. You can't be born to keep getting eviction after eviction. You could not be born just to go through bullshit. Like, that should not be my purpose as a kid at all. Like, and by the time I'm 17, it was like, what else more can I go through? You know what I'm saying? Like, just try to stay here for a minute. And I did. I stayed. I finished high school in Maryville, Indiana with my cousin. And my freshman year in college. So I stayed there almost 3 years. And that was the longest I stayed anywhere. Anywhere.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so you say that you have a daughter.
Yes.
So tell me about that segment. So you meet a guy.
So yeah, so my freshman year in college, I meet Antoine, fruit latte boy. He was a manager at the smoothie place in the mall, and I worked at Champs, the shoe store in the mall. And that man was so fine. I went and got cups of water every day. I bought a smoothie every day. Like, I just had to see fruit latte boy. I didn't know his name or nothing. So he finally ended up asking me for my number, and we started kicking it. We started kicking it strong. We hit it off strong. And my cousin at the time, we had got in a routine these last 3 years. She had her start having kids. Like I said, first time I started with Shay, me and Shay got close was back in sixth grade when my mom disappeared through the second eviction. Shay was pregnant with her first kid. So now I'm 17. Shay then she has two kids now. and just had her third or was about to have dubs. No, she had dubs. So she had her third child by then. And she's married, to Daddy Ike. His name's Darrell, but I call him Daddy Ike. And we're staying in Gary, Indiana, and we were in a routine where like I cooked and I cleaned, and yeah, she worked and she had her husband and everything, but the house was mine. Like I ran the household. I made sure dinner was cooked and served, the kitchen was clean, the kids were bathed. Like I ran the household. So when I started dating Fruit Latte Boy, I wasn't as home as much. I actually got a life, and he was dating, and that started to interfere with our relationship. She felt as though I was dropping the responsibilities of the household for a nigga, and a nigga she didn't like. You know what I'm saying? She never really vibed with him. And so I ended up moving. It was to the point where I'm not about to keep arguing every time I come home for something I didn't do that didn't make you happy. You know what I'm saying? And um then like I said, she never felt Antoine. She never like felt his vibe or nothing. So it was just like, you going out with this sorry ass nigga. Like that was always an argument or always a comment. So I went on and I moved with him quick as hell. And shortly after that I found that I was pregnant. Uh, He was
So what
crazy.
is this relationship like?
He was crazy as shit. That nigga started beating my ass as soon as I moved in. As soon as he found that I was pregnant, like, oh, you mine now. And it was rules. Like, he set rules without even giving rules, if that made, if that makes any type of sense.
Yeah.
So
Unspoken
you
rules.
you learn to not make eye contact with anyone. You learn to not speak too much, don't smile too hard, don't wear this, don't go there. You learn how to be in a routine just so you don't piss this crazy motherfucker out. And I'm a fast learner. You know what I'm saying? But I'm also a Leo. So you're gonna catch me in them days. I don't give a fuck about you, your rules, or your attitude. And that was where that's where the violence always came in, man. Like I was okay, for instance, we stayed on 7th in Kentucky. His granny stayed on one side of the street. Me, his mama, and everybody else stayed on this side of the street. Our water was off. You can literally walk literally across the street. Our front door to her front door. The water was off. We had to go to Granny house to use the bathroom and shit, take a shower. So one morning, the high schoolers are outside waiting for the bus. I'm running across the street to Granny house. One of the little boys make a little comment, damn, you even look good in your pajamas. Whatever the little boy said. I don't know. Didn't engage with him, didn't smile, didn't laugh, didn't chuckle, didn't do shit. Just ran in Granny house, went out and got in the shower. By the time I came back across the street, this nigga met me at the door with his fist. Fuck you was talking to that nigga for? What nigga? What are you talking about? Ain't nobody outside. When you went over to Granny house, the motherfuckers that was outside on the corner, the kids at the bus stop, I don't know what they said to me. I was running in Granny house. You know what I'm saying? But that just showed he was just fucking crazy, man. He was fucking
And so you just said he punched you in the face. So like how bad did the violence get? Because that's pretty serious for a man to just
crazy.
punch you in your
Yeah,
face.
man, we fought. He's thrown me over a fence. He's kicked me out of a moving car. He's pulled guns at me. He shot at me. Him shooting at me was what made me leave after 12 million times of trying to leave. Um,
How long
our
were you guys together before you left?
5 years.
So we got to ask the question because that's one thing that people always say, like why stay, especially 5 years, like you kept leaving, so why not stay gone? And then especially like you have a daughter, like why stay?
All right, well, I can't speak on everybody, but one, I just told you a little bit of my background. So I didn't already have a lot of options where I could go. Then with him, with any really battered women, and when they're in abusive relationships like that, you slowly get isolated before you don't have until you have no one. You know what I'm saying? So I already didn't have a lot of family. Then the little family I did have, one, the ones that didn't think you were stupid for going back so many times, the ones that didn't talk about you and judge you, that's already gone. Um, the one that you are allowed to talk to, you only allowed to talk in 30-minute increments. The phone got to be on voice on speaker phone. He got to hear everything. You're not allowed to go nowhere. Then when you did go somewhere, Gary's this big. He's there every day. Like when you're trying to leave something like that, you got to leave with a game plan. And I never had a game plan. I always left off emotions. And then I went back. I wasn't ready. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have the financial means. I didn't have the mentality to leave. I couldn't think clear. I was just fucked up in every aspect. I wasn't ready. It was literally no game plan. But like the 10th or 11th time, I started gaining the game plan. People started being placed in my life, even though I didn't know that's why they were there, you know? And his family helped me leave, his cousins, yeah, his god sister, his god brother, you know what I'm saying? They helped me leave, his folks. And also, and not like my family gave up on me because Shay, the one that I was staying with when I met him, she came to the house all the time. She popped up all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like yes, her and Antoine always got into it. Like, nigga, let me see my cousin. Like, period. Even if he'll just let me come to the fucking door and see my face, like she was coming. But yeah, it was ultimately his family that got me out though.
And so, like, nobody ever called the police. Like, he was never locked up. Like, none of any of
And
the.
no, I've never called the police. People have called the police on him. I've never called the police. And even when you do, first of all, what is a piece of paper gonna do? Second of all, when he gets out of jail, where am I? I'm still at home. I'm still with his folks. I'm still here. Where am I going? Again, you have to have a game plan. You know what I'm saying? And then you have to face the consequences of calling the police because you still fucking here.
Right.
That's 10 times worse. Bitch, you call the police on me, nigga. I can barely breathe now at this point. Like, hell no, I'm not gonna agitate the situation more.
Right. So now it's at this point, it's the 5 year mark. He is
But hold on,
shot
though.
at you.
And like I said, my family didn't give up because we moved around Gary. But once my cousin found out, okay, so Shay would pop up. She popped up when I stayed on Tennessee, 7th in Tennessee, 7th in Kentucky. But when I stayed on 1962 Tennessee Street, she didn't know where I was living. And I was working at the casino at this point. And one of my other cousins, Rachel, um, Rachel, I'm good. Rachel saw me and she was like, and they parked outside my house all day. I left, I came in from work at 6 a.m. So when he picked me up, that car was sitting outside. Then when we left to go, I was also in medical assistant school at the time. So I got off at 6 a.m. I had to be in school by 10. So when we left to go to school, that car was sitting out there. He was in barber school. When I got home, that car was sitting out there. We went to the grocery store. We let all day. 9 o'clock that night, that car was still sitting out there. We bringing groceries in. I took Nia in first and put her on the couch. She was asleep. He went back out to get some more groceries. I hear a tap at the door. I open the door. It's my cousin Marcus. He bear hugs me. Hey, cuz, how you doing? I ain't seen my family in so long. I'm shocked. Hey, how you doing? Hold up. What you doing here? Who you with? Where my baby daddy? First three questions, and it happened just like that. And as he was bear hugging me, he was walking me to the couch. And And I'm trying to fight him off, like, where's my baby daddy? Where's my baby daddy? Da, 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 this and that. My brother, who I hadn't seen in this point almost 10 years, because he had gone first for his fighting career. And
Right.
then the last 5 years, I was with this idiot.
Right.
So it was close to almost 10 years I hadn't physically seen my brother. So for him to be walking through my front door shocked the fuck out of me. Like, where you come from? And he had my baby daddy coat in his hand. Where Antoine? What y'all do to him? Duh, 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 duh. So by this time, my cousin and my brother, they getting in the car and they trying to find him. So they hitting the blocks. They hit Grant Street. I mean, they going Gary hitting him. His brother, I was renting a room out to his brother, JC. I said, JC, wake up, wake up. We got to go find Antoine. They going to kill him. They going to kill him. JC had just moved in. He didn't have a clue what was going on with anything. All right. He hadn't even been there a week. So we get in his car and we get behind my brother. My brother hitting the corners looking for my brother, my cousin hitting the corners looking for Antoine. We behind him. We get to the light. I can't even remember where we get by the color doors. All right. We get to the light right there. And his brother pulled out the gun and he got the beam at the back of my brother's head. And he said, Robyn, tell me what's going on right now. I said, I don't know. They came, they got your brother. They got your brother. He said, why did they get my brother? I said, because he been beating on me. And I said, but I don't know what they did to him and I don't know where he is. And he put the gun up and he drove me back home and he got back in his bed. And he said, well, you a fool to stay with my brother. Just like that. And then it was like maybe an hour later, I heard a tap at my back window and it was my baby daddy. And his eye was like this. He couldn't see shit. He was fucked up. He was cold because it's cold as hell in Gary and he ain't got no coat because he done ran up out the coat and he was all out of breath. And I was just looking like, damn. And then after that, that's when I started transitioning to leave. I knew that I could leave. I had a little power because even with the arguments, I'd be like, you ain't beat on my brother like you beating on me. Like, so I knew that I was getting more guts and more balls to leave. And yeah, so that's how I got on there.
And so, like, because your family, they didn't got at him, you know what I'm saying? And you're frantic, like, wondering what didn't happen. Oh, you can't hear. What happened? Okay, hold on.
I don't know where you went.
Okay.
There you go. You said, and so like, and then that's all I heard.
Okay, so your people are getting at him. Like, you know what I'm saying? They done got at him. You're worried about what the hell done happened to his ass. There wasn't any small part of you like feeling relieved that something did happen to his
Yeah,
ass. Like,
but it did, but it didn't because now that we back at home and I'm sitting in my living room, my brother and my cousin's gone. When he gets home, I'm gonna get all of that anger, and he's gonna think that I called them on him, and that's exactly where my mind went. Like, this nigga gonna beat my ass, but he was just so fucked up that he actually didn't. He didn't.
but that's what I'm saying. In the midst of the mystery of wondering what your family done to him, there wasn't no excitement or anything. You know what I'm saying?
It
Like,
wasn't until after I found out that he was okay that I felt good about what happened.
okay. So
And
you
it was
were
for
still
two
very
it was for two reasons. One, I didn't hate him, you know, and two, I didn't want my brother's life to be over for murdering him. You know what I'm saying? Because if he wouldn't have ran, that's what would have happened. If
right.
he wouldn't have ran up out that coat and got away from my brother, that's what would have fucking happened. And it was so when I saw that he was okay, then it was like, that's what your ass get. Like, yeah. But it definitely wasn't until after he tapped on that back window. I was a nervous wreck until then. Because one, I didn't know if he was okay, and two, I didn't know what was gonna happen to me.
Wow. Okay, so then after this is when you start formulating a plan to get the fuck out of Dodge.
I had more confidence. I had even went and got an apartment and left at one point. and I broke my lease and went back home because I wasn't ready. But this time I had more confidence. Like, all right, like it's a weak ass nigga. Like when it comes to it, yeah, just you felt like even like I said in the midst of an argument, being able to throw my brother up to my defense to him like that, like you felt better. And then his family, they got real serious on my ass about leaving. Like every time I went to Granny house, you still here? Like she was getting mad that I was still fucking with her grandson.
Mm-hmm.
So it was to that point. So it was yeah. So like I said, we got a game plan, man. We got on down. And Brittany came and got me. And we went to Atlanta. She had just got a house, because at first he knew we was staying with them during my pregnancy. So he knew all the addresses and shit. It's not like I could have went to Atlanta without him being able to find me because those are his people. But when Brittany bought the house in College Park, 1610 Chattahoochee Street, oh, he ain't know shit about it. Nothing.
And so Brittany was his people.
His god sister, yes. Brittany's
Mm.
mom is Anderson and Mama Green. They have been, and that's Antoine's mom is Green. They've been friends since like fourth or fifth grade. So they're their each other's kids, godparents, aunts,
Right.
all of that. They grew up literally together. So um, down to like yeah, down to even you're all his folks.
Right. Right.
You know?
I didn't even think about that. Right.
Yeah, when I met you, I was asking about my baby daddy to be.
Yeah.
So literally, like, yeah, so but y'all are my people. Y'all his folks, but y'all my people. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
right.
So
That's right. That's right. Okay. Okay. So fast forward now. We are out of this situation. Britt has came to the rescue. We are now in Atlanta. And then so what is life like now? Because we
oh,
we
the after effect, girl, you so fucked up, you shaky, everything's scary. You think, oh my God, like you don't know how to function without this motherfucker giving you rules. You like, hey, I can do this, I can go there, I can say that, I can be on my phone. You know what I'm saying? Like you didn't, yeah, but you have to literally learn how to live again. Literally. It took me almost 2.5, 3 years to date, and I'm still with that man. But yeah, I mean, last couple of years we've been back and forth, but definitely like it. And I had to date a whole totally different type of man. Like Antoine, I wasn't allowed to wear V-neck shirts or skirts or shorts or anything like that. With him, go find the short shorts and put that on. Like, no, you got some beautiful legs, and baby, you fine. If ain't nobody complimenting you, then I ain't walking with nothing. And I never had that with him for 5 years. So it was a total adjustment. Total adjustment.
and then so like what's going on in life right at this point? Because like you said, you're adjusting. And I mean that's a hell of a thing to adjust to because you met him right after all this childhood shit. You know what I'm saying? And then here you are, in your 20s, and then at 21 like you have a baby. Like that's super young. You still
You know
haven't.
what made me come out of my shell? Me and Brittany went to bartending school, and I started bartending. I had never put on a dress and went to a club. I am 20 some years old at this age and had never been to a nightclub, on a party scene or app or anything like that. So when I started bartending, that introduced me to a whole nother world. And you get to be who you want to be behind the bar. You get to be who you want to be behind a bar, and no one knew nothing about me. So it wasn't a pity, it wasn't sympathy, it wasn't nothing. It was just you get to be who you want to be. You get to start over. And if you want to start over every night, you can because you behind a bar, and like that's what really gave me the confidence to be in the world without someone, because I was even scared. I was scared to do anything, and made Brittany go everywhere with me. Like, yeah, so that's what took me out of that shell to the next level in my life and able to even start building relationships with people. It's because now I'm able to talk to them and still have the safety of the bar. So once I got that confidence, then now I can let somebody in a little closer. Like it was just gradual steps. Very
And
gradual.
so, what about your spirituality? Like,
I'm
what are your
raised
belief systems?
Baptist in a
Hmm.
Baptist church, born and raised. I come from a Christian family, period. But I always had questions, but I was always raised to not question God. Huh? It was always so. As I got older and I just started reading, it was certain things from different religions that I liked and certain things from different religions I didn't, so I basically um believe in a higher being and everything, but I don't have a religion. I just be a good person and put the energy out that you want and live this life as best as you can, and then the next life is going to be another journey. Like, and a lot of people don't believe that. They believe once you're gone, you're gone. So I I believe I live multiple lives now. And so it just be a when you're gone, this be a phase of this one gone. But don't mean you're gone.
Right.
But a lot of people don't think like me, so I don't get on the religion topic with a lot of people unless you have an open mind about different stuff. But if you believe in that Bible from beginning to end and what goes in that Bible, believes in that Bible, I'm not gonna argue with you. I'm not. I just learned to say, like I said, at a young age, you learn people. You learn how to read people. You learn how to maneuver. You learn how to what to say, what not to say. And religion and politics, you learn quickly that you can offend people very quickly about what you believe or don't believe in.
Right. So that, I mean, that would make sense that with the type of upbringing that you had to learn how to read people, and take a lot
And
of
then how can you
nonverbal
believe? How can
commands.
you believe everything? Like you, I go to church, man. My folks grew me up in church, but I'm still being molested. My folks grew me up in church, but we still being evicted. My folks grew me up in church. I'm still going through all this bullshit. Who? So you gotta I know now as an adult, it was my story. It was grooming me to be me. But as an adult now, I know that the energy you put out is the energy you get back. Period. Period. From your thoughts to your actions. So every day I tell my kid be a good person. You know why? Because no matter no like if you're a good person genuinely from your heart, everything else comes naturally. Period.
Exactly.
You're just gonna be a good person, so you're not gonna have to worry about that negative. Now I raised my daughter to be very aware. Because just because you don't have to be worried about the negative, don't mean it ain't coming from other people around you. It never approach you. You know what I'm saying? But it's yeah, it's just your karma. And just like you have bad karma, you have good karma.
So now looking back, being an adult and going through some of the situations that you went through, what do you tell that little girl, in those moments where things were really just super hard and dark, you know, now looking back, what do you tell that little girl?
Well, that's when your religion comes. Like I said, I was raised in the church, so it's different things. So, do I believe that God had to suffer and go through in order to relate to all the people in the streets and stuff like that? I had to go through it. I have to. And I had to be, I don't even know how to explain it. Even back to slavery, when the schools first got integrated, those first four black kids that went to school to integrate them, they went through the worst of the worst. They had to get spit on, called niggas, everything to open the gates for us to be able to go to school. How we go now? They took all of that shit because they were the first, they had to go through it. I had to take all of that shit for my daughter not to go through it. Period. Period. That's the only way I get through the process of why I went through my whole childhood.
So what do you tell that little girl? Like if you were able to soothe her, you know what I'm saying? What would you be telling her?
I don't know. Baby, it's gonna be okay. You're gonna make it. You are so strong. That's all you could tell her. So,
That's it, that's
and it's
all.
okay. It's okay to tell. It's okay to tell somebody too. Yeah, definitely. Again, why I raise mine the way I raise. I don't give a fuck. Tell. You know what I'm saying? Because if I'm worried about you telling, then I don't have no business doing it in my household. Period. Period. Only thing I told my kid, don't go to school telling them motherfuckers I smoke weed. Period. That's what I told my kid. But anything else, nigga, I shouldn't be doing it. You shouldn't be exposed to it if you can't tell it.
Right.
So yeah,
Okay.
that's what I would tell that little girl. I tell her everything I tell my daughter. Mhm.
So we were talking earlier about suicidal thoughts, and for right now in the last, I don't know, like decade, especially with this new generation, it's a lot of it, and it's not like it was even when we were growing up. It wasn't talked about as much. It wasn't as out there. Now we have social media. People are freely putting that subject matter on social media. They're talking about it. People are actually going through with the process. There's a lot of loved ones um, left to mourn these losses. You yourself, what is what is what is something that you would say? Like what is any type of advice, any type of
Baby, I'm looking for it because I'm still struggling with it. I had to call my cousin the other like a few weeks ago to talk me out of some thoughts that I have. So I couldn't help you. I'm still searching for the answer for that.
So why do you feel like that? Why do you feel that you have suicidal thoughts? Why do you feel the need to not be here anymore?
I feel like one, my daughter could have been blessed with a better parent, a not so damaged parent, a not so bipolar parent. I feel like that she's a strong kid because her mom's so fucked up. So um, and she shouldn't have to deal with a lot of shit that she deals with when it comes to me on my personal self and my emotions and shit because my daughter deals with a lot because I fucked up. You know what I'm saying? And just recently I started getting help, but I've been like this my whole life. So that's one thing. Not being able to provide how I want to provide and felt like I was just working super hard and wasn't reaping any of the benefits of it. Just love life sucked. Nobody, wants you or stay long enough or just everything, everything. Like I'd be less of a burden if I wasn't fucking here. Like then you get tired of not being happy. Like even when things are going good and you should be on top of the world, I'm still not happy. Like what is that? Why can't I shake that? Like why can't I enjoy the world like the rest of the people? I still ain't figured it out. And it's still super frustrating.
So knowing that you have such a powerful purpose because you've said that several times, you know that your existence means something, even if it was just for your daughter not to have the same experiences that you've had, that's really all you need to feel fulfilled, basically. You know what I'm saying? Is knowing that you prevented a
I
lot of the trauma.
I feel that my this life's purpose was to break the generational curse. And after I accomplished that, even when I didn't know I was accomplishing it, I didn't realize what I did until, a couple years ago. Like Robyn, she didn't experience anything that actually when my daughter was in seventh grade, she's a freshman now. When she skipped sixth grade and went to seventh grade. When she went to seventh grade, I looked at her and said, damn, this is the age I started living with my mama. And up to this age, my daughter has never experienced any of my childhood. So that's when I felt like I accomplished that purpose. And at the moment, it felt good, but then boom, now you right back to wanting to sit on some train tracks. Like I said, I don't get it. I don't understand why. I don't. I don't understand why my brain thinks the way it thinks and moves the way it moves. And they say, oh, you have to control your thoughts and think positive, but sometimes other thoughts are more overwhelming than the positive ones.
And why do you think that is? Why is it so easy to revert negatively to the negative side of things than it is to the
Not you
positive
used to.
side?
I'm not used to the positive things. You're used to going, no matter how uncomfortable your comfort zone is, that's your comfort zone. So I'm not used to things going smooth. I'm not used to things going good. I don't know how to accept that, I guess.
Would you say that you've tried?
Definitely try to accept all my blessings, what's going good, how I'm living, what I've accomplished. I try all of that, but like I said, some days I'm just not feeling life. Some
Well, I
days,
think that's a common
a
thing
lot of
because I
days,
mean,
a lot of days it's a challenge to get up and go through. But I know where I was when I gave up, and I know that I lost everything, and I know that I'm still climbing out of that hole. So I know that I can't go back to that again. You know what I'm saying? I can't go back to asking motherfuckers for shit, living with none of that. See, I did that when my mama died. I gave up on everything. So I was back staying house to house. I was reliving my childhood all over again. Had a backpack, and I was gone. I was always on a plane or on somebody's bus or in somebody's car going somewhere. And I looked at my daughter. I had sent her with her dad for a while because I didn't want her to be around me while I was still trying to get life together. And um, and like I said, I'm still climbing out that hole. My mom passed in 2015. And then, so now with Britt being murdered, I almost fell back into it, but I had to just go stronger. I had to go harder on working, harder on. So I put a lot of hours into work and a lot of effort into my business. And I'm still doing that to this day. I don't have an off day. This morning I got
and
up.
so what is your business?
I have a cleaning service. I also do meal preps and massages, and I also bartend. So my business is called Me Time Concierge Service. So this morning I got up and I drove to Mississippi and I cleaned the house. I drove back to Memphis, got dressed in 20 minutes, went downtown and clocked in and sat at my desk. Like I said, I don't have an off day. So
Okay.
I think now I just stay so busy that I don't leave myself room to think about anything else. Um, it's boom, boom, boom. I got up, cleaned the house this morning in Mississippi, came back, got dressed, went to work, came home, doing an interview with you. When I leave here, I'm going to check on the grandparents. I don't leave myself room to sit down and think about no bullshit because I know that it overwhelms me so quickly, so quickly.
And two, I'm so glad that you said that because that's a major thing is the fact that whatever you focus on, you make it bigger, you expand it, you make it more profound in your life. And so, what you're doing is a great survival mechanism that we have actually, as a culture, been trained against, which is they call it avoiding your problems, avoiding the situation. When it's not that, you know exactly how you feel about the situation, right? And so you know that you're doing all that you can do. You're doing the best that Robyn is capable of doing at those moments, right? So turning that attention to something else and diving into it is actually what you're supposed to do to help you move on, right? Because if you sit in the house and we let those train of thoughts run, that thought connects to another thought, which connects to you know what I'm saying? So then we're just making this situation huge
Worse.
as fuck. And then, so we add more onto the story, things that possibly don't even exist with the story. But because it's a momentum of energy, we ride that wave. So, like, what you're doing is actually what you're supposed to be doing, like, to get healthy. You know what I'm saying? And you said something just a few minutes ago that stuck out, which was damn, I just lost my thought. I got super excited and then just lost my thought. But anyway, you just it's almost like I said, like we have to look at I think we all look at things um from a programmed perspective. You know what I'm saying? On how we're supposed to be dealing with our emotions. When at the end of the day, this is what matters is when a person hits rock bottom, how they come up from that. And it doesn't look like what everybody thinks it's supposed to look like because at this point it's survival. We're in survival mode. And survival mode looks totally different per individual, per their situation. You know what I'm saying? So being a Leo with all this fire energy, that would make sense that part of your healing process is to keep moving. And oh, that's what you said. You said like years ago you were accomplishing something, but you didn't realize it until like your daughter was in like the seventh grade, and then you realize like, yo, at this point, I was at this space in life. And then so it's kind of like that's what's going on right now. You know what I mean? In like a couple of years, you're going to look back because this is kind of a blur. We're numb. We're like on zombie status. You know what I'm saying? You get caught in a routine, which is what you're doing is creating a routine, because the goal is I'm not about to relive this childhood shit. So I'm gonna work, I'm gonna build my business, the concierge, and that is a great ass service. People can call one spot. You can either get your house clean, you can get catering, you can get a bartender, you know what I'm saying? You get a massage therapist making this one freaking phone call. And like right now are the beginning steps of that. And so I just know, I don't believe, I know in a couple of years it's going to be the same thing. Like, I don't even know how the fuck I got here, but I'm here and like, damn, look what I just did, you know? And even like I said, just knowing you a little bit more personally, like I said, you're a human that's here for service for humanity. You have taken care of so many people. We didn't even get into that in this interview. That's why I'm freely bringing it up now. You are a person that's here for service. That's your purpose. And those people have the hardest lessons to learn because people can't relate to you
Unless you've been
or
through.
understand your testimony. You can't understand their testimony, and you can't touch the souls that need to be touched at the level that they are operating at. You know what I'm saying? If you haven't been there, you know what I mean? If you cannot recognize that energy, that frequency, if you've never been there. And those are the people that need to be touched. Those are the people that are dealing at the lower levels of consciousness, are these people that have been through some of these dark things that you have witnessed and gone through yourself and are now succumbing. You're overcoming, you're thriving, whether or not you feel like it or not, you're totally thriving. We all have our flaws and things that we're working on. If you're not working on something, then you're dead. Like, it's literally time for you to transition because there's nothing left here for you to do. You know what I'm saying? And so those of us that feel the most weight are usually those of us that have so much more to do. That's why you feel so much weight, is because your soul, your spirit knows, like, I got shit to do.
Yes.
And so real quickly, so we've talked about your business. I also know that you do things in the community, right? So let's talk about the girls a little bit, because I know you do
Okay.
something with
So
girls.
yeah, I just started recently since they brought back on Hulu and Netflix like the old tap. Back in our day we had TGIF. So we had to line up with the shows that we watched every Friday. So I do that with Family Matters and Girlfriends, One on One, Moesha. So just bringing you back to our childhood, but to this generation, because one, they knew nothing about it, and two, they have no shows like that. So um, I try to get the girls on Fridays, and we do that, and we do the girls' weekend. Like this weekend, I had all the girls. My friend, she adopted like eight, almost 8 or 9 kids, I think it is, and I got all the girls, and they just talk and they look at the show and they be like, "Oh, I went through that in school," or "Girl, you remember when such and such did this?" And they relate to Hakeem's and Moesha's, and they relate on one, and then it gets a conversation started. And once the conversation starts, you get to know where your kids are in life, what they're going through. And we as adults say, "Oh, they just kids," but just remember when we were kids, our problems were big to us. Just because they're not big to you because you're an adult now doesn't mean that their issues are not big in their world. And like I said, once we have the rule, no phones for 2 hours. So the 2 hours that we're watching the show, you have no time but to talk and communicate, because this is out of the question. And you learn so much about your kids. You know what they
Yeah,
go through, what they're thinking, who they like, how they moving, what feelings they starting to feel, everything. Everything, to the point where one of the girls wasn't comfortable on how she kept herself clean during her menstrual. Like, what do you do? She asked my daughter, "What do you do?" My daughter, keep wipes with you and everything, but obviously she couldn't go to her folks and talk about it because she was over here talking about it. So whatever the issue is, I want them to, when they come over here, they don't have to, whatever it is. Even if I'm not in the room, my goddaughter's 21. She relates to them in a whole nother way. So we, I just try to make them feel more comfortable, because they talk to Ariel, and about things they won't talk to me about, because I am still the mom, and I still know their parents. So certain things they not, but I have different age groups here. So you'll be able to talk to somebody, and
yeah,
they feel comfortable enough to do it.
I
Ask
love that.
questions that they don't want to bring up at home for whatever reason. And it don't mean that they have a toxic home or anything like that. It's just certain things you're not comfortable talking about with your folks. Period.
Exactly.
Period. And I don't care how cool your folks is. I don't care how much they keep communication open. It's certain things that you don't want to talk about with your folks, but you will feel comfortable talking about with someone else in a different environment. And that's what this environment is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that is great. So I want to wrap this up. I know that you have a ton of things to do because you are such a busy woman. So again, do you have any social media that you want to deliver? Because like I said, you do have your
Yes, I'm
concierge
on
service.
Facebook under Robyn Radcliffe, but I also have my Facebook Me Time Concierge Service page. So just look out for that because I'm about to start. I'm getting that uploaded the business page, but I'm about to start sending requests out and everything. So when you see Me Time, that's me. Sound and accept. Yes.
And so me time, how is that spelled?
Me capital Tyme. Me Time
Okay.
Concierge.
Me time. And then you have an arraignment of services there, cleaning, catering,
I'm
bartending.
certified, licensed, and bonded and insured on everything that's on my page.
All right.
Yes, ma'am.
So I would really love, 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 love to thank you so much for coming and doing this show. This is our second interview. This
Second attempt,
is our
act two.
second
Second attempt.
interview. The first one we had quite a bit of technical difficulties through the whole damn interview.
Yeah.
So this is our second one. I really appreciate your time. All you thrivers out there, thank you so much for tuning in to episode 13. We're at episode 13, ladies and gents, of the You Thrive Everyday show, where we show you how people triumph through setbacks in life and they fucking thrive. This
Yeah.
is your girl, AP, America's favorite life coach, owner and founder of You Thrive Coaching. Again, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Say goodbye, Robyn.
Hi. Thank you all for listening to me.